She sits with that sentence. He makes tea, slowly, precisely, and sets a cup in front of her. Then he sits across from her and begins to speak. His brother's name was Sung, 24 years old. He ran community programs in Seoul, funded quietly by money men made doing things he is not proud of. Not a clean life, but it had a clean corner, and Sung lived in that corner. 3 weeks ago, someone inside Min's inner circle passed Sung's location to a rival faction. Sung was killed. Min was meant to be at that meeting too, but a delayed flight, a small, stupid, ordinary delay, kept him away. He survived by accident. His brother did not. He had been running ever since, grieving in airplane cabins where no one could hear him. Amara listens without interrupting. When he finishes, the silence is heavy and honest. She wraps both hands around her mug. "Who was it?" she asks. "Who gave them Sung's location?" He looks at her steadily. "Someone I trusted completely," he says. Then his phone buzzes. He reads the message. Every muscle in his face goes still. He turns the screen toward her. A photograph fills it. Amara, stepping off the plane, Zoe in her arms. Her face is clear and bright in the terminal light. Someone was waiting at that gate. Someone photographed her before anything even happened. Below the image, 2 words, "Next time." Sleep does not come that night. She lies in a room that is too white and too quiet and stares at the ceiling while Zoe breathes the slow, easy breath of someone too small to understand danger. Amara understands it. She understands that a photograph of her face has already traveled to people who will use it. That by crossing a curtain on a plane, by offering a man a tissue with flowers on the wrapper, she has stepped into a story that was already being written without her. In the morning, Min is at the window when she comes out, phone pressed to his ear, speaking Korean with the flat efficiency of a man giving orders. He hangs up when he sees her. He crosses to the kitchen island and slides something across the cold marble toward her. A key. Beside it, a folded lease agreement. A new apartment, 3 bedrooms, a secure building near a good school. First year's rent paid. She stares at it. "The building you live in has a broken lock," he says. "Your landlord knows and does nothing. He has been thorough." She feels both grateful and furious, which is a difficult combination to hold at once. "This is not charity," he says, reading her expression precisely. "Your old address is now visible to people who use visibility as a weapon. This is me removing that weapon." She looks at the key on the cold marble. She does not pick it up. Not yet. She pushes the key back across the marble. Not hard, not angrily, but firmly. "I'm not something to be managed," she says. He looks at the key, then at her. Something shifts in his expression. The careful recalibration of a man who is used to variables behaving predictably, suddenly encountering one that does not. "I am responsible for you," he says. "That is not the same as helping me," she replies. They stand on opposite sides of the kitchen island, and the marble between them is the whole distance of 2 very different worlds. Then Zoe walks in, dragging her giraffe, and stops in the center of the kitchen and looks at Min with the complete, unself-conscious stare of a child who has not yet learned to pretend. She walks to him. She lifts her arms. He looks down at her for a long moment, then picks her up. He holds her with enormous care, a gentleness that contradicts everything else about him. Zoe leans her head against his shoulder as if she has known him for years. He closes his eyes. When he opens them again, he looks at Amara. "Come with me tonight," he says. "To a meeting. Not to be protected. To help." There is a difference. Something in the way he says it, the admission that he needs something from her beyond her silence, lands differently than everything else. She looks at Zoe in his arms. She picks up the key. The message arrives that afternoon. A video, 40 seconds long, but every second lands like a blow. It shows Min on the plane, his face in profile, turned toward the window with that private grief he thought no one could see. And beside him, for 3 clear seconds, Amara, her face unguarded, her eyes kind. The voice behind the video is cold and smooth. The translation appears on Min's screen as it speaks. The great Min Jae, weeping like a child, comforted by a nanny. "This is what your people are loyal to. He is soft. He is finished. Bring me the woman, and perhaps I will let the child live." The voice belongs to Choi Byum, Min's most trusted lieutenant for 7 years. The man who ate at Min's table. The man who gave the order that killed Sung. Now he sits in Min's old office in Seoul, broadcasting this video to every faction leader and rival, wearing Min's old authority like a coat he helped himself to. Min watches the video with a face like carved stone. But his hands, she notices his hands, are shaking. Just barely. Just enough for her to see that whatever he felt for Choi Byum was real. Betrayal only shakes the people who trusted deeply first. It is a kind of grief too, she thinks. A different kind. But grief all the same. He prepares to go alone. She overhears him in the hallway, speaking to his driver in a low, certain voice, arranging transport to a dockyard where Choi Byum has requested a meeting. The language of what he is planning lives in the logistics. The time chosen, the route, the instruction to leave the vehicle running. Is the language of a man who is not planning to negotiate. She steps into the hallway. "You're going to surrender yourself," she says, "to protect us." He turns and looks at her. "It is the cleanest solution," he says. She shakes her head slowly. "Clean for who?" "You're letting him write the ending of this story because you think that protects us. But it doesn't. It just removes the one person who can actually end this." He is quiet. She can see him listening, really listening, which she has already learned is something he does rarely and takes seriously. "I am coming with you," she says. He begins to speak. "No," she says before he can form the words. "You do not get to decide my fear for me. That is not protection. That is control. I have had enough of people deciding what I can handle." The silence stretches. His jaw works. He looks at her with those old, careful eyes, and she looks back with steady ones. Then, for the first time since she has known him, he nods. Without a word. Without an argument. The dockyard smells of rain and rust and old water. Shipping containers tower on all sides, rust-red and enormous, creating a maze of shadows. The lights are industrial and dim, buzzing faintly, casting everything in sickly yellow. Amara sits in a parked vehicle 200 meters from the meeting point. Zoe has been left safely with the driver, blocks away. Amara has Min's phone and a numbered call. She also has an idea, something she thought of herself, something so simple it might be the most dangerous thing in this dockyard tonight. Min walks into the meeting exactly as Choi demanded, alone, appearing unarmed. She watches through the rain-blurred windshield as the meeting point lights flicker on. She can count the silhouettes. 6 of them. Then Choi Byum steps forward into the light. Even from this distance, his satisfaction is visible, the slow, theatrical applause he offers. Min stands with his hands at his sides. Still, patient, a man who knows something the other man does not. Choi turns to the assembled men around him, gesturing at Min the way a showman presents an exhibit. He wants witnesses. He wants this to be remembered. He holds up his phone and plays the crying video one final time for the crowd. A final public humiliation, a demonstration of just how soft his predecessor has become. This is his greatest mistake, and he makes it himself, because Amara is already streaming. She opened a feed the moment Min walked into the light. The phone is propped on the dashboard, its camera aimed through the rain-spotted windshield. She has sent the link to 3 addresses Min gave her, 2 rival faction leaders with long grievances against Choi Byum, and 1 contact inside a financial crimes unit who has been building a case against Choi's operation for 2 years. She is not law enforcement, not a soldier. She's a nanny from Lagos by way of London who notices things and thinks fast. And she has learned that sometimes the most powerful person in a room is the one everyone underestimated. On the phone screen, she can see the moment Choi Byum realizes something has gone wrong. His phone lights up, then another man's phone, then another. The performance he was staging has become a broadcast, traveling to people who will use it in ways he never planned. He shouts. His men look at each other. The certainty in the dockyard begins to crack. Min does not move. He stands at the center of it all and waits, the way a person waits who knows themselves, who knows that strength is not the absence of grief, but the courage to keep going after it. Then gunshots crack in the distance. Everything moves at once. It is not clean. It is loud and frightening and wet, and Amara keeps the stream running even when her hands are shaking. She watches Min move through the chaos with that terrible efficiency she first saw on the airplane. Precise, purposeful, a man so long at the center of danger, he no longer panics inside it. Choi Beom's own men, watching their leader's operation broadcast to rivals and investigators simultaneously, begin to step back. Some leave entirely. Loyalty, Amara is learning, is built on belief. And Choi's greatest weapon, the belief that Min was weak, is dissolving in real time, in front of everyone who was supposed to fear it. Choi is captured before midnight, not by Min, but by his own deserting men, who have calculated that surrendering him is now their best protection. The rival factions move to secure their positions. The financial crimes investigator calls at 20 past midnight to confirm receipt of the footage. Min returns to the vehicle. He is bleeding from a cut on his temple that he does not acknowledge. He sits beside her. He says nothing for a long moment. Rain drums on the roof. Then he looks at the phone in her hand, still recording, and something moves on his face. Almost a smile. Not quite, but close. You thought of that yourself, he says. It is not a question. Yes, she says simply. I notice things. 3 months pass. Spring comes to the city. Uncertain at first, a little cold, then suddenly and completely warm, as if it made a decision and committed fully to it. The apartment is on the 4th floor of a building with a real lock on the main door and a park visible from the kitchen window, where Zoe learns to run on unsteady legs through new green grass. Amara enrolls in college 2 streets over. She studies in the evenings while Zoe sleeps, a textbook open beneath a lamp that fills the room with gold light. It is not a perfect life. Min's world does not close like a door. There are still shadows, a black car that parks across the street and does not return, phone calls that go quiet when she enters the room. But the grinding daily fear, the broken lock, the landlord who knew and did nothing, that is gone. Min visits twice a week. He always brings something practical. He sits on the floor with Zoe and builds towers from wooden blocks and lets her knock them down without flinching when she shrieks with delight. One evening, after Zoe is asleep, he tells Amara he has begun to dismantle the organization's violent operations. Piece by piece, the way a person unbuilds themselves. She pours him tea. He wraps both hands around the mug the way she showed him. I do not know how to build a life, he says. She looks at him, this man of walls and weapons, sitting quietly in her lamp-lit room. You just started, she says. Outside, the city glitters. Something that feels like home settles gently around them both.
Thank you for watching part 2. Please like, comment, and share for more powerful stories.